Hello students, how are you? Hope you all are fit and fine. So today we are going to discuss the components inside the computer. The first one is motherboard, second one is CPU, third one is power supply unit, fourth one is hard drive, fifth one is compact disk drive and so on. So let's begin. So this is our today's topic which is inside the computer. So we are going to discuss the different devices which are actually working inside the CPU. And the word CPU which we are using is actually a plastic box in which all the devices are together working. So we will discuss the first definition. There are various types of computer in the market these days. Desktop personal computer, popularly known as PC, and the laptops also known as a notebook, and a small computer that can be easily put on your laps or the tablets, which is using like the mobiles nowadays, but it has a huge wide screen and a light computer of the size of handbook, we can say, often used for the working on the internet. So actually this is the CPU which is looking like, and all the devices are together, all the wires are integrated, and all the components which we are going to discuss today, for example the hard disk and the expansion card slots, motherboard and their fan, power supply unit and power supply cables which supplies the power inside it, and the compact disk drive. So these pictures are not that much of good quality. I will show you the better one. So first of all we will discuss the first component, which is the motherboard, and this picture is not so much clear to you, so I will show you the another one. Wait a minute. So the motherboard is looking like this. Yes, so here it is. It is actually a green board in which all the little devices are integrated to each other and working together. And this is the place where we are inserting our RAM. We have two RAM slots. We can insert two RAMs at the same moment and we can use it together. So this is actually the motherboard is looking like. So we can also say that it is a main current board which is holds together various components like CPU, memory, connectors for the hard drive and the optical drives. So this is the basically the board which is used to integrated all the devices together to run up and to perform some specific tasks. So CPU is just a processor. We usually use the word CPU to specify the box which we see with the monitor, but actually that box is just a plastic box. Inside, the actual CPU is the processor, which is actually the brain of the computer. It do each and every task inside the computer. It is actually the brain of the computer. For example, our human brain is work very hard, and it do the basic things and the many more. For example, pumping the blood to the heart, and we are breathing, and breathing is also controlled by the brain, and all the functions which we do, the human do, is done by the brain. If our brain is not working properly, then the human cannot do any task, any single task human cannot do without using a brain. Same as without using the CPU, without using the processor, computer cannot done any task. So the speed of the processor is usually measured in megahertz and gigahertz. We usually see that word MHz and GHz. This is the MHz is called the megahertz and GHz is called the gigahertz, which indicates the billions of instructions per second reading by the processor. There are a variety of processors in the market available nowadays, like dual core, quad core, octa core, i3, i5, i7, and so on. So the main company who builds the processor are Intel, which is the most popular, and the second one is the AMD. These two are the major companies who build the processor for the desktop computer, laptop, and so on. So the next one is power supply unit. This is the component of computer which converts the alternate current supply being received by homes or offices to the low voltage different. It is the component of computer which is used to convert the alternate current supply being received by homes or offices to the low voltage direct current required by the machine, because machine usually use the DC current, not AC current. So this is the component which converts the alternate current into the direct current, which means the AC current will be converted into the DC. So it actually look like this. You can see it. Here is a fan who can make it cool all the time when it is turning on. So these are all the cables which are connecting inside the computer. Through that, all the tasks with the help of electricity will be done. And this is the outlet, the only one wire which is connecting, and from that the AC current will be converted into the DC, which is supported by the machine. So the another one is hard disk. It is the secondary storage, which is a permanent storage. As you all know, the temporary storage is RAM, and the temporary storage is also known as the memory, and the permanent storage, we can say it as simply storage. So this is a secondary storage. The program which is to be executed is first stored into the hard disk, and from it is transferred to the RAM so that the actual work will be done. First of all, the data is stored into the hard disk. When we are doing something and when we want to manipulate some specific data, the processor takes the data from the hard disk and replace and place it into the RAM so that we can manipulate the data, and after manipulating the data we can save back into the hard disk. Okay, I will share you the another picture so that you can easily understand it. So from here, with the help of this picture, you can easily understand, and you can take the example of the memory and storage. People are little confused with the word memory and storage. We normally consider memory and storage is same, but it is different from each other. Like memory is the temporary storage, and storage itself is the permanent storage, you can say. For example, our disk drive, which is you can say the hard disk also, or hard drive. And RAM, as you all know, when electricity is turning off, and then all the data which is working inside the RAM, the data which you have not saved will be deleted, and it remains same as it is, and it will not be manipulated as you want to manipulate. For example, you want to edit some picture, and you select some particular picture from the folder. Then at that moment when you are selecting some particular image, then that image which is stored into the permanent storage, into our memory card, into our pen drive, into our hard disk, is placed into the RAM so that we can manipulate it, we can add filters into it, we can add text into it. Or suppose the electricity turns off and your computer or laptop will be shutting down and your program is unsaved. So the entire process which you have done before saving the data will be removed. For example, if you have adding any text into the picture, you have added some filter into the picture, then that filter or text will be not added when you're turning on the computer because you have not saved it. So the data is in the memory, that is in the RAM. So the every data which is into the RAM is not saved, is not stored. So the data which is into the RAM is the temporary, and when we save it after manipulating or something doing it, then that particular thing will be stored into the permanent storage, which is called hard drive. And CPU is just a processor. We simply considering the CPU is the box, the black box or any colors box which we are viewing by our naked eyes, but actually the CPU is the processor which is placed inside the black box or on the motherboard. One more thing I want to tell you, the hard drive is the permanent storage, and permanent storage have the huge memory, and it is cheap in price, and RAM have the little storage, and it is expensive in price because it is fast in nature. RAM is fast and the hard drive is slow in nature. That's why. So let's discuss the another thing, and I have a separate video on that topic. the bit and bytes, kbs, mb, gigabytes, terabytes, and petabytes. I will give you the link of that video in the description. You can watch it here. You cannot see that picture clearly in this. I will show you the another one. So this is the actually compact disk drive is looking like. We can insert CD, DVD inside it and run it. And the another thing is the RAM. This is the temporary storage and usually called the memory. So this is the memory storage plays an multiple and important role in the functioning of the computer system. Every time you start up the computer, the operating system is loaded in the RAM. Whenever we turning on our computer system, the operating system is first loading into the RAM so that we can do all the things inside the computer. We can operate each device, each application inside the computer with the help of the operating system. So first that operating system is loading into the RAM. That's why computer takes a little time to turning it on. And the larger the RAM and the strongest the processor, your computer will be faster in nature. So hope you understand all the little devices which are working together inside the computer. And thank you so much for watching the video. See you in the next video. Bye bye. Take care.